we're back on the Range Rundown. We have Mr. Robert Jordan, our father.
Yay.
He's gonna kind of piggyback off of what Miss Samantha Bryant Jordan just left and said. So tell the people, introduce yourself, tell them about yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Jordan. I'm 57 years old and a lifelong resident, a 40-year resident of Monroe. I own Jordan's Automotive. I own Jordan's Used Cars. We own Jordan's Properties. We have several Airbnbs, and also I'm the executive director of Power Tools for At-Risk Youth that my wife and I started a few years ago.
Okay. Now we understand that you guys are fighting this issue with Louisiana Delta Community College. Give us your take on everything that's going on with that.
Wow. Okay. I guess let me give you some back history. I was actually in business working, running my repair shop, and I had a friend of mine who worked there, and she told me that they lost their automotive instructor, and the program was about to go under because nobody would teach. She said they had a gentleman there that really wasn't doing anything, and the program was in danger of being shut down.
What year was this?
This was in, I want to say, back 10 years ago, so this is probably 2014.
So you've been there
10 years.
10 years, wow.
So she told me that they needed some help, and she told me, she said, you're good at it and you're good with people. So at first I didn't want to take the job. I went over there to see what it was, and I just definitely didn't want to take the job. One, I did pretty well financially at my mechanic business, and I had about 15 employees working for me at the time. So I didn't want to downsize, I didn't want to go. But two, I was getting ready to retire, thinking about retiring. And I thought about, well, this may be a good thing to slide into. I don't have to give up, the mechanic business or the mechanic side of it because it's my passion. I said this could be something I could slide into and continue to keep doing what I love. So I went back a second time. I looked at it, and I declined it then, especially when I asked the gentleman what the pay was. And at the time, he told me it was $50,000, and I was like, I can't do that. So he asked me, what do you need to go to work for? So I told him I need $125,000. So he called me back the next day. He said, the state not gonna let us do that. He said, it's just impossible. He said, it's just not in the budget. He says, we really need your help. He said, everybody speaks really highly of you. The community talks highly of you. We need your help. And I told him then, I said, I gotta help myself. You want me to lose a lot of money to come help you guys with this school. So I went back a third time just to go over there because my friend asked me to. And what I saw people that look a lot like me. They were shooting dice. They were smoking weed. They were going up and down on the lifts. And this was stuff that was dangerous. And the school, it looked like a salvage yard. There was cars everywhere. That stuff was thrown over the shop. And they had a Caucasian an instructor who was hard of hearing. He just sat in the office and did nothing. Let these students do whatever they want to do.
He collected a check.
When people ask about what you do and I tell them that you work there, a lot of people have never heard that Louisiana Delta had an automotive course there.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How many kids or children did you graduate from there?
Okay, now here's the thing. When I started there was about 10 or 12 students in the program. Okay. After the first semester, the numbers started to go up. Normally, I run anywhere from between 45 to 55 students per semester, which is unheard of for automotive program. Most automotive programs anywhere from 18 to 20 max, but our numbers were 2 and 3 times the norm.
We understand that you're close with your students too as well.
Of course, very close. What they didn't understand, and what happened was some of the people, such as the dean of students, they investigated how and why I had so many students. What they didn't understand was I drove school bus for 33 years. Mm-hmm. And most of these students had an intimate relationship with me. They knew me from, school bus. So when they saw me in the public and I would talk to them into going to school, this is what they would do. But that was a catchphrase I used because the vice chancellor told me, this is what she told me one time, I don't give a shit how you get them, just get them in here. Mm-hmm. So this was, and she said
we're
this
gonna piggyback on that.
More than one time.
Miss, do you remember her name that she said? Tossison, Miss Wendy Tossison, she told your wife, that's another reason that we asked you guys to come separate, because we're getting the truth regardless.
Okay.
I'm gonna let my podcast know he was not in here when his wife was doing hers, so everything that he is saying is strictly coming from him. And that's why she came on and she said the same thing that you just said, that Miss Thompson kept saying, get the numbers, get the numbers. It's all about numbers with them.
They don't care about the people. They just care about numbers. And I'm telling you that now. They treat the students like crap. They treat the employees like crap. Just as long as the numbers are up, that's all that really matters.
Is it impossible to even get financial aid to look at you, see you, or hear you, unless your financial aid that came through and they're trying to make sure that they get their part?
Oh, they're going to make sure that they'll do whatever. But unfortunately, my wife and I didn't adhere to their program. I made sure that the students came first. It wasn't about money for me. It was about making sure that they learned something and could do something productive with their lives. Now, on the other hand, I'll be honest with you. A lot of them I got in that program because I explained to them that it's paid for by the federal government and you will get a refund check. So a lot of times when you tell people you get a refund check, they'll come. Right. But the thing is, 98% of those students that I tricked in, they fell in love with it and they did well. So it wasn't really a lie. It was just letting them know the fullness of it, because most people didn't know I could go to school for free.
With Louisiana Delta Community College, they are supposed to have a job placement program, right? Mm-hmm. How is their job placement program?
Their job placement program is crap. But mine is about 85 to 90% effective. I make sure that my students, they didn't even have an internship program when I got there. They had nothing when I got there. I created an internship program to where my students would go out and work for 2 weeks unpaid. And then the job would decide whether or not they would keep them. If the job kept them, then they would start paying them a minimum of $15 per hour. And probably 75% of my students got gainfully employed because they went out on intern.
That's great. The upper administration, in one word, how would you describe them?
I don't want to. I'd have to use some choice words, but I will say this. One, Randy Esters. Randy Esters is not as naive as we think.
And who is he?
He's the chancellor. Okay, me and him had a conversation at length one day, and I expressed to him my concerns about the low employee morale. I expressed to him about the salary disparities. In other words, you making $200,000 or $300,000 and somebody's making 40. I also spoke to him about the discrimination. There was so many things that I talked to him about, and on that day, me and him talked probably about an hour, and he didn't know that I knew he was recording the phone call, that conversation. He had his phone in his top pocket. I saw it, but I wanted him to record it because I said so much to him that he's going to need to go back and listen to it for a couple of times. I also said some stuff to him too. I asked him, you ever heard this from a black person? He said no. I said, because I'm the only person that's not afraid to tell you, that's not afraid to get fired.
So what's your fight for? Who are you fighting for?
Here's the deal. When me and my wife went there, we didn't need that job. We went because we wanted to give back to the community from a different platform. My fight is for the people that's still there who can't afford to stand up. You would be surprised of the people that are actually getting treated like that. And now, granted, let's just take one example. Now, we're not sure, but from the looks of it, with the stipends that the chancellor gets, his pay is somewhere between $250,000 to $350,000 a year, $250,000 to $350,000 a year. He gets a housing allowance, he gets a clothing allowance, he gets a vehicle allowance, he gets allowance for everything that he has to do in life. That means you get a check that you don't have to pay anything out of, right? because taxpayers, now not the school, taxpayers is paying this.
So that's where our tax money is going.
So this is where tax money is going. So what's happening though, but he's got administrative secretary that's been now, I want to say 15 years. She makes $48,000 a year. And the administrative secretary does all the work. So my thing is, how can you tell me this is fair? And what I told him, this is what I told him sitting in his face. I said, how can you sleep at night knowing that the people that work for you can't pay their bills?
It's greed.
It's greed. And I told him that day, I said it's easier for you to go home when you make $350 compared to somebody that makes $48.
And it's without a college degree.
That's without a college, yeah.
Compared to people that have college degrees and don't nearly make it that much.
Yeah. Well, we got the gentleman that's making the 244. He has only a high school diploma. But I can attest to this. My wife called me one day. She was upset from the Bastrop campus because they wanted her to sign some forms for the state. Actually, there were some numbers that they needed for the state, and it was wrong. It was a lie. So she called me because she was upset because they were really trying to coerce her to put these numbers down. No, baby, don't you do it. Because when it goes wrong, goes south, they're going to have to hold you responsible for those numbers. And you're going to be one in trouble. So she didn't do it. After that, she started having issues. She also called me one day, too. There was a gentleman was making $65,000 a year who was over the heavy equipment program. He didn't have a high school diploma. He was trying to get in her class to get a high set. So that means Delta Community College hired somebody to teach college students or a trade that didn't even have a high school diploma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Understanding that your wife came from Monroe campus, so I'm pretty sure she called and told you that they were moving her to Baxter campus. What was your words exactly?
Well, this is the thing. I knew that was a way. They were actually trying to force her to quit. But this is what I told her. I said, don't quit. You know, if that's what they're trying to do just the opposite. Go there and do the best job they ever seen. Go there and you do a job so well that nobody else can't do it. And I know her, you know, I know what she can do, and she did just that. That's not the first time my wife have called me, you know, and, you know, either crying or upset behind stuff that she did, you know, that they did. And this was pretty regular with them, you know, and I can tell you this for a fact. Delta don't care about the employees. Mm-hmm. They will lie, especially the chancellor. When it comes, like right now, he's reaching out to about this, that, and the other. If you cared about your people, you wouldn't go home with 350 and your secretary would go home with 48.
If this happened to you, would you reverse? If this was you instead of your wife, would you fight as hard as you're fighting right now?
Of course. Of course. I know one thing. My wife going to support me, and I'm going to support her. You know, another thing, too, is people ask us, why y'all doing this? Well, one thing, too, you got to realize this. When I saw the hurt in my wife's face, I knew then that the devil in hell wasn't going to stop me from getting some type of form of justice or bring what's right, because nobody else may not care about theirs, but I love my wife, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Even death won't stop me from getting some form of justice when it comes to my wife. You know, she did a good job. When did you ever heard somebody getting fired for doing a good job?
Right. And not telling me why I got fired.
Yeah, and that's as of today. But what's so amazing, the HR director's still lying. I mean, the thing is, you know, the trickery, the lying, I mean, the deceitfulness, I call it rattlesnake. I don't understand how these people can sleep at night. I don't get it. Yeah. But I want to add this too. Most of our friends don't even communicate with us anymore. They were told not to communicate with us.
I was going to just ask you, being that you are an employee there, and I know you've been there almost 10 plus years, you've made some friendships, you've made some friends there. How do they feel about you being on the news going against their job? Like, even though they probably had similar things, are they scared? Are they saying anything? Have they just completely cut you and your wife off? What are they doing about it?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because it's actually an easy question to answer. In the beginning, I didn't understand it. But when I had a good friend of mine, he told me, he said, you and your wife got several things to fall back on. I don't. You know, and when I thought about that, what if I couldn't feed my family? Or I had this one check coming in. I understand now. And another thing, too, everybody don't have a fighter spirit, a fighter mentality. Everybody don't. Some people are thrust into it, which we were, and some people are born for it. I didn't realize we were born for it until the past couple of years, you know. So, you know, it's you know, I would say that the vast majority of the people are embracing us and employing them. We get a lot of secret support, and they would not come forth. And I understand, because they need their jobs and they're scared of retaliation.
So can you say you're fighting for them too?
Oh, that's who the fight is for. It's not for us anymore, man.
Okay.
It's not. It's for them. My thing is, me and my wife could ride off in the sunset and live happily ever after.
So going forward, what do you expect to get out of your fight with the community college?
Well, I got a comprehensive plan that I want to share with either the systems president, or I have an interview next week on Tuesday with some representatives from the college. And I'm going to give them my comprehensive plan, because if I give it now, it might make some of those people in this plan be retaliated against. But what I see is Randy Ester's gone. I see Wendy Toslin gone. I see Kelsey Valley gone. I see Antonio Hearn demoted. I see Nathan Hall demoted. And I see, I can't think, Eric Gunther demoted. You know, there's a lot of people in leadership positions that should not be in leadership positions.
Stand on it. Make sure they be gone. Stand on it. Have you heard of the 5 for 6 program?
Yes.
Can you explain to me what is that?
The 5 for 6 program is a really, really good program. I'm not exactly sure about I do know I have several students in my program. The 5 for 6 program will pay for everything for those students, their books, the tools, and everything. I think they have to complete something, and then they can take these college classes while they're taking those courses, and everything is paid for. So I embraced that, because I tried to get as many as I could, because they paid for tools and everything. Oh, wow. It's a win-win-win for students. But anything that Delta get really stick their hand in, it's going to be money motivated. And let me share this with you. 3 semesters ago, we have what's called IBCs. IBCs are industry-based credentials. That means if you got to have a a ASC, and if that's standard in industry, if you get that credential, then Delta gets paid for that per student. So the state has its industry-based things. Every student we give a credential before they get the diploma, they get $4,500. A few semesters ago, I had roughly about 80 students to get IBCs. Some of them got multiple IBCs. So if you do the math, that's almost $500,000. Now, what was so amazing to me, even after getting this money, I asked for a raise. They still told me that wasn't no money. They couldn't give me a raise. I just netted y'all almost $500,000. You can't give me that raise y'all promised me.
You can't get a raise because Kevin Cooper is getting $225 from. These are what your wife told me, and that's why you can't get a raise. They're giving all the money to the administrator, upper administrator. That's why we can't get a raise.
Would you? I'm curious. Now I know this wasn't brought up, but it's just something that I kind of. Would you be surprised if they were somehow laundering money to the school?
I don't call it laundering. I call it stealing.
Still okay.
Yeah, that's what I call it. Laundry is a good word. Here's the thing. I'll be willing to bet you that a large portion of this money is getting sold. But granted, too, guys, this is taxpayers' money. See, Randy Elson's winning Thompson, that's not their money. This is taxpayers' money. We deserve an answer, and at any time we can ask that, and we should get that answer because it's taxpayers' money and it's a governmental entity. My thing is, why can't they give us any of these answers? Why won't they give us any of these answers? But one more thing, I wanted to tell you this: when they hired me, after seeing this, I agreed to take the $50K. I agreed to take it because Jason Manning told me this is what he said. He said we can't give you that salary. He said, but if you can turn the program around, he said we'll give you. He said we could do 75. I said, well, look, guys. I said I'm gonna do it. I said because I'm getting tired of doing my own business. I said so as soon as I turn it around, I said you're gonna get me the raise. He said you got my word.
Did you get that raise?
I never got that extra $25,000.
I'm gonna piggyback on your own businesses. On this paper right here, these are your businesses, right?
It is. It's something.
So let my podcast know that it's not about the money.
No, of course it's not about the money.
It's not about the
I can make in a week what I make there in a year.
It's about the people, it's about change, it's about respect, it's about honor, and it's about fights. And this fight that you and your wife is doing, I and my sister personally, we're proud to say that y'all are ours. Like we're very proud to say y'all are for us, and we're very respectful that you guys are bold enough to get up there in front of millions of people in the newscaster and be you and be able to say this is not right, because like I say, your friends or your associates, they're not going to come forward, but you have something to lean back on, so that makes a lot of sense. And you fighting for them. You might not be them, but you sitting up there fighting for them every time that you speak up. Even right now, you speaking up and saying what you need to say. Multiple people have been done like that, and this is why we started this podcast, so we can put this out. You don't have to go through the strains of getting to the news or Facebook or trying to push things out. You can say it right here, and we're gonna put it out for you.
Let me help you out with the straw that broke the camel's back. Each administration that came in, I asked for that extra $25,000, and what they said was that you get it in writing. Of course I did not. Let me tell you why. When a person hires you, you take them at their word. If you can hire me, and I take you at your word. And then another thing too, nobody thought to get it in writing. I worked there for almost a month before I even did a job application. I didn't even get my first paycheck. I didn't get because there was no record that I was working there. As of today, I still hadn't complained about that first paycheck. I complained. Wow. I worked there for 2 weeks before they even started calculating my time.
Community college.
Yes, yeah. But now watch this, okay? The straw that broke the camel's back, even after I gave my wife the termination letter, when the chancellor stood up in convocation and was saying how good the college was doing, but by the way, we can't give any raises because there was no more money, but him and Kelsey Valley got a $10,000 raise. Yeah. They got a raise. Guess what? Kelsey's was for outstanding performance. Here's the deal. We do the work. So you telling me y'all already getting these stupid salaries, y'all get paid from our hard work, and then y'all tell us there's no more money. So this is the thing that agitated me more than anything. If there was no more money, there's no more. That means that he couldn't get a raise, and we couldn't get. I would have been satisfied. But when I confronted him about the raise he got, he just dropped his head and walked off. My thing is, where's our money? And another thing too, it's our money anyway. So this is the thing that makes me upset more than anything. And we're the ones working long hours, nights and weekends to make a good department. And by the way, I got one of the best automotive programs in the country.
You do. I've
In the
heard
country.
everywhere.
In the country. I've had executive from Detroit, Memphis, and
You were,
from Ohio,
you were
Florida.
awarded.
I was awarded many a times at several magazines. It's a flagship program. It's the best in the country.
What would you like to see in changing? I know you said the administrators, but it starts from way above there.
It does.
It starts like, I could put you in this position, but somebody above them gave them the position. And if all the upper administrative is like that, what do you think the person at the top is?
I think here's the deal. See, this glad you should say, because I sent Brenda Esther's a text and said, what do you think your legacy is going to be after all of this? And this is what I'm going to say to Dr. Money Sullivan. What do you think your legacy is going to be? Because he is Randy Esther's boss. And see, here's the thing. Dr. Money Sullivan knows this is going on. As long as they benefit from it, they're not going to say much. But now that there's somebody making some ripples, asking questions, see what Money Sullivan's, he's going to send the little small dogs in to try to cool this down. But the bad part about it, this is not going to get cool, y'all. It's not.
Your wife already told us you're a big dog and you bark.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Yes, I'm not going anywhere because somebody's got to change this system. And it's not that complicated. It's really not. You got to put people in place that care. And let me tell you something else that they do I would not stand for anymore. The chancellor's from Arkansas. The vice chancellor's from Georgia. So you get these people from other states to come in here and make these salaries and then go back home. We're going to get somebody local for the next chancellor and somebody local for the next vice chancellor that has a tie to the community, that cares about this community.
How could you fight for me and you're not from here?
Yeah, you
Bingo.
can't even relate to Louisiana.
Bingo. Bingo.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. But see, that's just it. The people that make the biggest checks with the biggest titles usually don't make any sense. So that's one of the things I see. I say this, I say some of the smartest people in the world with all these degrees are some of the dumbest people in the world because they don't use common sense. Another thing too, they get cold-hearted. Cold-hearted is when you don't care about nobody but yourself. You got to care for other people. You know, you got to. And this is the dangerous thing about it. If you believe in a higher power, higher being, what about when you got to leave here? What are you going to do? You can't treat mankind that way and go before God and say, when God say, my good and faithful servant, or will he say, well done? So my thing is, this is way bigger than us. It's way bigger than any of them. But I made a vow to fight, to carry this out. And I'm not sure, I know we only put it out, but I got some death threats. Here's the deal. I ain't nowhere scared. They don't bother me. This is why I didn't say anything, because sometimes they want it to gain traction. See, one thing about being silent, it goes away. Here's the deal. They're not crazy. Step to me, they already know you better come correct.
Did you do any kind of legal things with it?
I did call the Washington Parish Sheriff Department, file a police report just for my own personal safety. So if anything looks wrong, I'm going to defend me. If it even sounds wrong, I'm going to defend me. So
I have a touchy situation that we're going to piggyback on, because your wife did say that you were closer to someone that committed suicide there. If you do not want to talk about it, it's fine, but can you kind of give us a rough draft of what happened to him?
I will, because it needs to be said.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine. We were close. See, they didn't know we were. They had no earthly idea how intricately twined I was with so many people. Man, they were good friends. And I knew the story about what was going on. He was having a bunch of personal problems at home, and he was having financial problems, and he was having problems on the job. They knew that he was having those problems, and he stated several times that if I lose this job, I'm going to kill myself. And I would tell him then, look, guy, I'm not going to call his name. I said, look, dude, I said, you think about your son. He had a son. That was the one thing I could always talk him off the ledge. Wow, it was his son. And things that got ugly, there were some legal things that I'm not going to put out here now, but there were some things that he had did. They should have fired him for some of the other stuff that he did. They didn't. When they found out how handicapped he was, they really gave this guy a hard time. They made him do wrong stuff, grunt work. And I would see him sometimes. I would just tell him, I said, dude, why are you letting him do this to you? He said, well, man, I got to have this job. I got to have this job. His immediate supervisor knew it. And I know his immediate supervisor too. We were friends. They put this guy through hell because he was in a bad position. They terminated him one day, and he got his vehicle to go down south to see his parents. State trooper pulled him over for speeding. He put the gun on his chin and pulled the trigger.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's not the bad part. That's bad enough, but we were told not to talk about it. If we were, that people would get terminated or reprimanded. It was told. My wife made a wreath and put on his door. The next day, someone took it down.
Oh, wow.
Now, okay, do you think that's a while? Now, I can't say about the wake service, but me and my wife went to the funeral. At the funeral, there was 3 people at that funeral that I saw from Delta. That I saw. Maybe somebody else was hiding in the back or something. I don't know. But there was 3 people. Me and my wife were 2 of those people. So at this man's funeral, as many people's lives we touched, we only saw 3 people. And that's because most of them were afraid to go.
So could you say that the school basically, the upper administration basically kind of had blood on their hands?
They were complicit. They were complicit. They didn't create it, but they sure helped to pull the trigger. They played a part. And I do believe that his son deserves compensation. I believe that at this time, you know, I'm not advocating for that, but as our podcasts and stuff grow, I'm going to advocate for it. But now to help you with this too, about maybe 3 weeks to a month ago, we had another employee that was contemplating suicide.
Another one?
Yes, ma'am. Another one was contemplating.
Is that because of the school?
That's because of the job. She was passed by. She trained 3 of her successors. She trained 3 people that became directors instead of her. Mm-hmm. And with the 3rd one, she should have gotten. She didn't get it, and she told my wife then. She said, "I have no reason for living."
I want to ask you, when you sat down that night and you talked to your wife, what made you believe you can do this? What made you, despite everything, what made you think, oh, me and my wife are going to go fight? What made you think that you can do that?
I never believed that we could.
So you're really responsible for her fight, because she said she didn't want to fight.
She wanted to quit. But so I started to take my own fight. And that's what I told her. I said, I'm not going to force you if you don't want to fight for you, but I'm going to fight for me.
Yeah, she told us that she got to, after the at-will state, it came to a point where she just wanted to give up. But she said her husband. And at the at-will state, I mean, personally, if I would have been fighting and going this hard, then I'm like, oh, it's an at-will state, I'm fighting for nothing. What did you tell her to make her keep going?
Let me help you guys and help her a little bit too. At-will means they can fire you for no reason. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. There are avenues you can go through, but they're dead doors. You can go to the EEOC, which almost does nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna craft some legislation to where this changes, and this is the part that we've got to do something about. You can have a person work for you for 10 years and do a good job. You just walk in there one day and say, I don't need you anymore. So therefore, this is what I tell people at Delta. There's no job security at Delta. You know, Delta is not a career, it's a job. A career is something that you build, mm-hmm. and it grows. And the better you do, the better it does by you. Delta's not that way. Delta's a job. Delta's a job that you may walk in one day and you could have done everything right for 20 years and they would say, hey, we don't need you anymore. That law has to change, because if a person gives you the best of them, then they should be able to say, hey, I got a job. Or there's fail-safes in place. Now, there are fail-safes in place with the state and Delta, but they don't follow them. There is a systematic process they're supposed to use, even when they terminate you. But guess what? Delta don't use them. Mm-hmm. HR was supposed to have gone through the process of terminating my wife. They were supposed to have a reason. You're supposed to normally have to have 3 write-ups. And what Delta will do, they'll fabricate them. They'll make up stuff if they want to get rid of you. But they also have people terrified with this at-will thing, and that's a form of what they call power-based work violence is what it's called. That's the term that's supposed to be used. But they'll use that because they know most people are so afraid of getting fired, so they use that. It's an at-will state. It's at-will state. But see, when people start fighting back, they will stop using that term, and they will be more apt to at least give a person a fair handshake. If you do a good job, award me. If I do a bad job, then reprimand me. So that's my thing with Delta. To be honest with you, Delta is one of the worst things I've ever seen. I've never in my 57 years seen nothing as worse. Delta is toxic.
I can agree. Going to Delta is like, my mom used to try to tell me, go do your paperwork, go do this, but it's a hassle because you can never get nothing done unless you have inside person in there or someone that you know personally. It's really hard, not just for students, but employees, as we can see.
Because I'm a former student and I would never go back.
They treat the students like crap. And let me give you a little story. I got my associates from Delta Criminal Justice. I was sitting on my bed one night taking a proctor test that I always do in the same position. I had an instructor actually cut me off and actually cut the test off because he said I was cheating. He said the person on that screen was not me. So I immediately emailed him. I took a picture of my driver's license right next to my face and I signed it back to him. Now I can call his name at this point, but I signed it back to him. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm also an employee there. I said, I've been there 8 years. How could I be cheating? Why would I cheat? But lo and behold, make a long story short, I went to the division chair. I went all up to 4th floor. Did you know nothing was done to this guy? Nothing. Now, I'm an employee. And he accused me of cheating, which was impossible to do when I got all the credentials right there beside me taking that test. Now the egregious part of this, my grade point average dropped because this instructor, this professor would not allow me to retake that test.
Oh wow.
He would not. I jumped up and down and screamed and yelled. My wife told me, she said, let it go. I let it go because my wife told me let it go.
But at the end of the day, you still graduated with
I still graduated with honors. Yeah, I still graduated with honors.
With email, I'm glad you did say email. Your wife told us that you guys emailed the upper administration and asked them for their resignation. I've never heard it done. I've never seen it done. I would like to know more about the email.
Why not? We're taxpayers. We own that college. They work for us.
Okay.
See, they work for us. They don't own it. They work for us. Here's the deal. I asked for the resignations, and I expect to get them. I'm going to get those resignations, or they can resign, or somebody can fire them, or I hadn't put this out there yet, but I got a little bitty zip file that I'm going to eventually forward to the Department of Justice. See, me and my wife been doing a lot of homework. Nobody knew it. We've been always follow the money. See, old wise, my daddy always said, follow the money. If you want to find the crook, follow the money.
Okay, so I did my homework, and you guys have a petition going. Let the community know how they can, sign the petition to make a change.
Bingo. That petition is online. We were doing it the old way. We were circulating it manually, which I learned, that's not the way to do a petition. Yeah. But there is a petition online, and we need you to sign that petition, just simply saying that you agree or disagree with what's right or wrong. And now, the thing is, we're not asking you to get involved in the fight. But by you saying this is wrong, then sign, that you agree that this is wrong. Another thing too, think about this. It's us today. And see, we're not your average people. Think about if they did this to us. What would they do to a person who couldn't afford to fight, who wasn't financially stable? Just think about so many people that go through this and come home and say, I didn't do anything, but yet and still they got the pink slip, and they go away with it because they say. But another thing too, I'm suggesting that they have a outside, we want, what I plan to put in place is some type of oversight committee. Okay? We need an outside oversight committee.
It need to be a community.
Bingo. This is why. Never let the police police to police. Never let a fox go out the hen house. So when you got people from within the college, you're never going to get an unbiased opinion. You're not, because most of them are scared to speak up, or they're going to be friends, or they're going to get a promotion. So you get community members, and I'm going to ask that they allow a Washington Coalition of Concerned Citizens to pick those people, because what we're going to do is pick people from the community that you can't scare, you can't buy, who don't have anything to gain or to lose. Okay. So we need a board of at least 5 people that when there is a problem that you can't resolve here at Delta Community College, then you go to Washington Coalition and we sit you down with these 5 people, you explain to them, and then they get a chance to question the new chancellor. Hey, look, we need to find out with this guy, this is what we got. You give us your side of the situation, let us find out. But when you have a leader that knows that somebody's going to look at it, he's going to have to do the right thing.
Okay. I mean, that's good, because your children, you could 5 people on the board member, you got kids coming up. I don't want this chancellor up there, and I know my child has to go to this school.
Bingo.
I don't want that.
Well, before we let you go, we understand you have to go. Tell our viewers how they can get in touch with you and your wife. And
also tell them this is not your only fight. You're not picking a Delta.
No, we're not. My niece was killed by police 2 years ago in May. This was starting me to prompt me to fighting. My niece had done nothing wrong. Cops just accosted her because she was black, but she got beat by police. She was put in the cell for 3 days without nobody. They did nothing. They even checked on her. They came back 3 days later. She was dead.
And that happened where?
In Rapides Parish. So I got that fight going on in Rapides Parish, which we're going to use this platform also to shed some light on that. So this is not the only fight. As a matter of fact, it's a bunch of.
She will be here. I mean, she will be here. The next episode will be about Rose.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that you would like them to know, anything that we didn't
and how they can reach you.
Okay. Because this was what it is, we use Washington Coalition of Concerned Citizens, or you can reach us at Jordan's Automotive. My wife and I both are on the internet or Facebook as Robert Jordan or Samantha Bryant Jordan. You can inbox either one of us. Another thing too, we don't need it, but donations would be nice to have, because the more money you got, the easier it is to do. And we can do more things, like pay your podcast people, we can buy more equipment, so, sponsorship or donations are well needed. because none of this equipment is cheap.
Yeah, we
And
also understand y'all have a upcoming event for the schools.
Yes, as a matter of fact, next week we're taking 20 seniors from each disadvantaged school to a career tour day at Grambling State University. So they're going to go over there that morning. They're going to hang out till 12 o'clock. We're going to leave Grambling and take them to Griff's to have burgers, and we're going to bring them back to campus. We want to give these students a college experience. Yeah, a college experience.
Well, if there's anything else, I want to thank you for listening and tuning in with Mr. Robert Jordan.
We
And
appreciate having you.
we actually do.
On
And
the
Mr.
range
Jordan, before we
rundown.
let you leave, I need you to turn around and look at that for me and tell me who those people are.
That's a pit bull and a bigger pit bull, because she called me the pit bull, but that girl that go.
Your wife is amazing. I mean,
That
she
girl go.
dresses and she does her thing. And
That girl go.
she did say that Delta had a problem with the way she dressed,
She did.
but she came on here and
She looked nice.
I think I want that outfit myself.
She was told
nice.
twice to tone it down. She was told twice.
Which
to
I
tone
don't
it
understand, because coming from, partying and where we come from, I would love to see some of the students wearing that. She
But
said
why
she
can't we
had
express
students.
ourselves? Why can't we? Why can't we embrace our heritage? Why can't
But
we?
once we start doing this, it's kind of like they feel threatened.
They feel like you can
it
wear
becomes a
alligator
problem.
shoes too, and you can wear those button-up shoes too.
But listen to this. I've worked 3 jobs for 38 years. For 38 years, I've worked anywhere from 16 to 20 hours a day, every day, sometimes 6 days a week. Why can't my wife enjoy the finer things in life?
She's supposed to.
Okay?
She's supposed
So
to.
I've worked hard to make sure we live a good life. So my thing is, nobody gave us nothing. We didn't steal nothing. We didn't take nothing. I've worked 3 jobs for the past 37, 38 years. I still work 3 jobs because I love to work. So therefore, my wife deserves the better things in life. Now, does those things make you who you are? No, they do not. But it's what's on the inside that makes you. But what's on the outside sure make you feel better.
Yep.
Is there anything else you would like to tell our audience?
That is it
today?
for me. Y'all pray for us, send some prayers up and send some monies too. That'll help us also.
Well, there you have it, guys. It's my host going to take us out.
Thank
Tell
you.
them where they can find us.
Thank you for tuning in to the Range Rundown. We run down everything, even the truth. Everything today that you have heard, we have receipts to copy and to come and show you guys about.
And we're also on Facebook at The Range Rundown, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok coming soon.
This is the only beginning of the Range Rundown. See you soon.